Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm actually really great that you're here. I'm very pumped for this interview. Um, I have been
Happy to
a
hear that.
I have been a very big fan of you specifically, not just you, but like everyone in the band, but you specifically. I've been a fan since the Passenger days.
Oh, wow. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. So this is kind of a big deal. I'm gonna get straight into it, man, because I'm really not only fascinated about like your career as a musician, but this whole new like Halo effect thing. I'm in love with it. When it came to creating the band, how did that even start? Like, how did those conversations start? Because I know there was something with Mikhail and like he was toying with an idea in 2019, and then I think that's what was the genesis for this, but I don't know the full story.
I mean, we've known each other for so long. Me and Jesper went to high school together. Yeah, just listening to King Diamond, Iron Maiden, Creator, and Judas Priest, of course. And I've known Michael since his days in when they were called Septic Broiler, before
Mm-hmm.
Pre-Dark Tranquility. And then I got to know Peter and Daniel, uh, 97, 98, something like that. And then In Flames. I mean, we're talking decades here. Um, and I remember a train trip from Stockholm to Gothenburg. Me and Michael shared the same kind of love for the same kind of music with all this doom, sludge, and festivals like Roadburn and all those bands who play there, and bands such as Sleep. Matt Pike is, yeah, the god of riffage. So we started to talk back and forth, and we're just throwing bands in and just having a good time. After a few beers, we thought that the idea of forming a band together sounded just terrific. And then we um, came to Gothenburg, and yeah, let's do this. Yeah, yeah, I'll call you tomorrow. Bye bye. And nothing happened. They're one of those
Yep.
bands that just form. That's quite nice. But then it came to reality. So we kind of met up the scene, which we really like, and the progressive music. But we were ready to give it a try, and we started out with the song Gateways, and then Shadow Minds followed that, and after that we had Feel What I Believe, and that kind of paved the way. Wow, this is the way we should write and record our music. I mean, this is the music we always played since 89, 90. So just stick to the what we got and what we know how to play, I think. So that was kind of the starting point of the Halo effect.
That's amazing. I've always been a big fan of like the Gothenburg scene and just kind of the quality that's come out of Sweden specifically in general. I recently talked with Oscar from Hammerfall, and I said to him as well, like, there's a lot of bands that kind of come out of that region that like have paved the way personally for me in my musical journey that have gotten me to the point of where I'm at now. Bands like In Flames, Dark Tranquility, At the Gates, Hammerfall, all that kind of stuff. So being able to see like this band form sort of with members of bands that I love, and they're making again that kind of top tier quality of music, to me is super impressive, and it just is a testament to how insanely talented the scene is as a whole. So yeah, I love it, absolutely love it. When writing stuff under the Halo Effect banner, has the approach changed compared to how you were writing with In Flames, how you were writing with all your other bands, or is it something where like, is it just kind of a mix mash of kind of everything where you're like, well, we like how we wrote here and we like how we write here and just meshing it all together? Like, how's the actual approach?
I mean, it's yeah, that's an interesting question. It's a little bit of a social experiment as well. I mean, since we know each other for decades and been in and out of bands and we've been playing with each other, this was a new entity, a new thing, the halo effect. That was something new to us. So I think the key was to find what kind of music and who we were or is as a band. And that I think we did that pretty quick when we did Gateway, Shadow Minds, and Feel What I Believe with the first batch of demo songs. And that kind of, as I said previously, paved the way. Okay, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to write. Don't tend to overthink. And we just go with that positive energy. And we've known each other for so long, so we trust and rely on each other. If I do this riffage or if I do the skeletons of a song, I know that Jeppe will have his magic over it. And then Peter and Daniel comes in with their explosive rhythm section. And then the big poet, the artist Michael, will have his magic on it. So we don't interfere with others' magic on top of the songs. We just go with it because we felt the same positive energy going into the music. And I think that's important to have that routine and trust and still the drive and the energy to do this even after so many years. I think I'm still happy to be and humbled to be doing this, and we're having fun. It's just positive energy, and I think the key to that is not to overthink and too much of that. Just go with it.
Yeah, you can kind of hear that too. Like, there's not a lot of like stepping on anyone else's toes. Like, you can tell, when someone's kind of being given that little moment to show off what they can do and getting that time to shine. So it shows through in certain songs. You definitely hear it. So the debut record, Days of the Lost, as well as the new record, have a really unique sound comparative to, I guess, a lot of other albums and stuff that you guys have all worked on and across the scene as a whole, because it still sounds like a Gothenburg sound record, but it sounds so much more modern. So in terms of, I guess, the production, was that an intentional decision to kind of go, we want to throw back to these sounds that we were making 20 years ago, but make it seem updated? Or like, how does that kind of approach to the production come about?
That's actually an interesting question. It is. I mean, as you play and create music, you meet people and you get inspired. And I think the key is to have fun with it and to feel inspired still, to feel that strive and hunger for moving forward. I think that's important to still feel that it's fun, happiness, And I think that the music itself is a blend of all the bands like Gardenian, DT, In Flames, and even Passenger, which was some kind of I wouldn't say alternative, but a little bit like in that direction, I would say. And this is where we are nowadays. And this is how we are and how we play our music today. So I think with all that routine and a little bit of knowledge, this is how we sound. And I think, if it sounds modern, but with a little bit of twist of everything into it, it comes by just natural. It's not something that I think, hey, we need to have these samples in, we need to have because this band is popular right now. No, nothing like that. We just go with it and we stick to Judas Priest, Iron Maiden creator.
Yeah. I was going to kind of get more in depth with the album later, but just because you've mentioned that, there's a specific song, because I've actually heard the album and I love it. Like, I didn't think you would be able to follow up the first record with such a strong follow-up, because I thought the first album was so good, but this new album rules. There's one song on there that I want to shout out in particular, which is Coda. And that song, like, it's all instrumental, it's the album closer, but that, just what you said there, I guess, of like, taking bits of like, I guess the history of like everyone's bands and stuff. That song, I think, exemplifies that in the sense that like, there were parts of that sounded like Dark Tranquillity. There's parts of it that sound like In Flames. There's parts of it that kind of sort of call back to all of your careers all at once, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, you can say it like that. I mean, I have to say that the whole writing process for the second album started like 2 months, 1.5 months prior to our first show ever as the Halo Effect on Sweden Rock Festival on the main stage. And we had like an hour to go, but the album is like almost 42 minutes. Wow, how do we do this now? Michael, can you read some poem and be funny? It's like 18 minutes that we need to. Yeah, so I wrote an intro and I wrote an outro to that. And the intro belongs to March of the Unheard, the song March of the Unheard. So after 96 shows, and you could see that supporters in the crowd were cheering along and, feeling the intro as we moved on with the touring cycle. And I thought, I need to write a song, keep that part, and just update it a little bit. And then March of the Unheard came about. And then I wrote the outro for the whole show as well. And then I thought, why don't I do a medley of melodies that comes throughout the whole album, which is a coda, a final instrumental track, which I added some violins and cello to it. Violins with Erika, cello with Johannes. And then I called a friend of mine up, Julia is the female vocalist, soaring on top together with Michael. And I think that creates a vibe, a melancholic, positive vibe to it. And I think it's a nice ending of an album that also could lead into the third album. You never know, because it ends like, a little bit like a... Like
yeah, it's almost a song to catch your breath on. I didn't even realize that song was a mix of melodies and harmonies from the other songs. I'm gonna have to go back. I was planning on going to bed after this, but I'm gonna have to listen to it again and give it a crack, because the title now makes sense. I feel very stupid about that. But
no. It's interesting.
That song is incredible. I remember sitting there and I like I said, I think it was a moment where I was just able to kind of catch my breath after the 40 minutes that had come before it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's neat.
Speaking of March of the Undead, so that's the new song that's just dropped. I think it's a new single. It's only been out about a week or two. The music video for that's super interesting. It looks like you kind of shot in a lot of caves and a lot of like different locations. Were they all real locations, or were they all on sound stages? Because they looked very real.
They are a real location, and it's really funny. The video itself is done by my old youth center leader, Morgan Jensen, and his partner, Theo Gabay. When I was doing the intro for the whole shows, I thought that why don't we call up Göta Lejon marching band, in the dresses, they have the blue dresses on in the snares.
Yeah.
And they will gladly participate in the recording. So we brought them in the studio and they recorded. They were just awesome, fantastic. And then we talked to Morgan and Theo about this. We have this marching band and it's called March of the Unheard. All right, we know what to do. Bring them on to the set, and they sew the mouth shut. And they knew exactly which location we should do this. And it's a very epic, beautiful video. I'm really, really happy about this one. And then we recorded in a place called Majorna, which is the heart of Gothenburg, if you ask me. It's right under one of the classic bridges called Älvsborgsbron. It's by the harbor of Gothenburg. So I think the vibe is there. I think they created something really nice here.
It's a great video, and it kind of sets the tone against the song. The harbor there specifically, is that where the bridge is?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because that I don't know what it is, but like you guys playing in front of that bridge just looked cool. Like visually looks awesome.
Yeah, and that's the heart of it. That's the and it has a long history of harbor and ships and all this Ostindiefararen. A lot of history to that. It's tied together, so it's quite epic to us.
Yeah, for sure. The lead single as well, so Detonate, that also dropped about 2 months ago. That's obviously where kind of all the promo and the press for this new album started. How did you land on that song to open with? Was it just kind of like, I guess, the best way to get people hooked into the new album, or was there an intentional decision of like, we just love this song so much we want to make it the single?
Yeah, you're one of those, but it wasn't obvious. We all got our singles, we all got our favorite tracks, but when you're starting a new campaign for an album, I think you need something to some straight into your face and something like that. But I used to stay away from those topics. Maybe I just throw in my saying in it, but in the end, it's a organization called with management, label, and band and such. But I think it's a strong song, and it's an interesting song with a lot of guitars into it, harmonies and whatnot.
I think that is the song. Like, I think that's the song I would probably put in front of a lot of people if I was going to show anyone off this new record, being like, because like I think this song does have a bit for everyone. You know, it's got the amazing vocals, it's got the amazing drumming by Daniel, who I got to shout out. He's probably part of my favorite era of In Flames. Like, all of his drumming, all of the albums he recorded on, I just love his drums through every single one of those records. So also having him part of this, for me as a fan, I love seeing him doing more stuff. But I feel like that's the song, again, I would just put in front of a new fan and be like, hey, this is the song. I even did it before, earlier today. Sent Detonate some of my friends and was just like, you need to guys check this band out. They're sick, because they're all as well big In Flames fans, big Dark Tranquillity fans, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Is there any songs in particular off the record you're looking forward to playing for the first time and getting them in front of fans, or yeah?
I mean, that's also an interesting question, because you're recording the album and then you map up a release date, and then you start a campaign. I haven't got the vinyls yet. I need to have the vinyl because I'm a vinyl lover. And then I can look through the booklet and feel it and smell it and put it on my turntable and just go for it. Then for me, the album is done. Oof, it's done. Not until I have the vinyl. Okay, a week later, we're going on tour. All right. That's another step, because you never know how the reaction is going to be, because it's new songs and we play it like this live. And it's a lot of energy, positive energy. And that's beautiful meeting with supporters and the band together in a live environment. So I really hope that the songs will go down well, because some songs you gotta play for some time for them to catch up on, you know. So you never know, but I think the single's gonna go down well. I hope so.
Yeah. Again, I know I've talked about it before, but I'm really excited to see March of the Dead. When that March of the Dead, did I just blank on that? March of the Unheard. I don't know why I said that, but March of the Unheard, I think I'm probably the one I'm most excited for, because that's just an epic song in general.
Thank you. Thank you.
All good. Last question. So when you guys came to Australia last year, I was flying back into the country from America, so I had tickets to your show and I fell asleep. I was so jet lagged. And I really, really regret not having made it. Is there any plans to come back now that the campaign for this is kicking off? Like, is there any plans anytime soon, or is that something you're probably looking at about a year or two once you hit Europe and America and all that kind of stuff?
Actually, we're talking about it. It's on the table. And we talked about it 2 weeks ago, because we really want to go back to Australia and also New Zealand. We'll just love it. For us northerner heathens up here, it's really exotic and beautiful. So it's definitely on the table.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, again, like maybe it's just my circle, but I know a lot of my friends and I know a lot of people around me, love the bands that you guys have been in for a number of years, and this is just another one that kind of gets added onto the pile in the sense of, like, again, the consistent quality coming out of Sweden specifically. This album is incredible, and I cannot wait for people to get a hold of it. I do want to say thank you and appreciate you taking the time out to chat. It's been wonderful. I was supposed to talk to Peter, but you subbing in at the last minute has been incredible as well. So I'm really stoked that you took the time out to chat.
Thank you, Lucas. Thanks for the interview.